Welcome to the Bird Podcast. I'm Shobha Narayan. We are now on Instagram and YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram at bird_podcast and on YouTube at the Bird Podcast. I hope you'll subscribe to us. If you are an experienced bird watcher, don't even bother with this episode because this addresses a question: how I got into bird watching. The reason I got into this episode was because all of us who are bird watchers get this question from irate spouses, siblings, or children who follow us around as we go around, binoculars in hand, pausing, looking up at trees. And they often ask us, what's so great about bird watching? Well, this episode attempts to answer that question. I make a case for why bird watching is a fantastic hobby to cultivate and why you should cultivate it. So we did this episode where we got sound bites from various birders in Bangalore for Bangalore Bird Day and asked them how they got into bird watching. I will link to that episode. But for me personally, it began with a pair of binoculars and a balcony. My first binoculars was a pair of Bushnell binoculars that I got online for about $35. And it was 10 by 50 amplification. And I didn't even know what that meant. And really, it doesn't matter. Binoculars deserve their own episode. But I took these binoculars and my South Indian filter coffee and went to the balcony one day and started looking around. So if you are a new bird watcher, you should do it at dawn and dusk because that's when birds are most active. You can go at 7 a.m. And what you are looking for is a clump of trees or shrubs that are attractive to birds. It could be out in your lawn if you live in a bungalow. It could be outside if you live in an apartment complex. For me, it happened to be outside across the street from my building. And essentially what you are looking is what I call a baseline tree or a shrub that attracts a lot of bird species. For me, this baseline tree happened to be a tall Millingtonia with fragrant white flowers. And on the first day, I trained my binoculars all around and then I settled on that tree because I saw a bird on it. I had no idea what that bird was, but I started making notes about what it looked like. And later on, into your search browser, you can type in birds, whatever you saw. For example, it could be green bird, white cheek, medium size. And then a series of images will come up and then soon you will discover that it's a white cheek barbet. And this is how identification begins. You will see a black bird with a forked tail. And then you will type in this, you'll say medium size and do this in an image search and you will see that it's a drongo. So this is a thrill to find out what you are looking at. And in whichever city you are, you will see a variety of species, at least 10 species, even if you are in an urban environment. In Bangalore, where I live, we have rose-ringed parakeets, we have mynas, we have koels, we have crows, of course, we have black and Brahmini kites, we get the occasional kingfisher, we have Cinereous tits, we have sunbirds. So these are all great to observe once you learn what they are. And I just told you how to do that. After that, after the ID, it really becomes about ecology. How does the parakeet eat? How does the myna call? The koel, how does it fly? The barbets have a zigzag flight. The koels have a straight flight. You start observing behavior and ecology, and that's how you get more and more into bird watching. For example, I have a simple goal when I do some bird watching in the morning. I'm looking for some sort of a wow effect. And it doesn't need to be some new spectacular species. It is usually some unusual behavior, some unusual bird. So when you see your first new bird, that is a seminal moment because what I am looking for, and I think what gives a novice bird watcher their high is this aha moment when you see something that you have never seen before. Now, I have a very poor memory, but I can remember the moment when I saw my first coppersmith barbet, the moment when I saw my first Cinereous tit, the moment when I saw a drongo sunbathing in the amidst a monsoon cloud. So these are aha moments that add to the pleasure of bird watching. Now, once you've seen this bird, you'll see it again and again. So parakeets are very common. Rose-ringed parakeets are common in Bangalore. Then it goes to the next step where you have to identify if it's a male or a female. Male rose-ringed parakeets have a rose ring around their neck and females don't. So this is how you take step after step to bird watching. So most amateur bird watchers, and I include myself in this, identification is what gives us the high. So the way I do it now is I use an app called Merlin, or I use books to memorize the various identification markers of birds. Like the female Asian coel has a sort of brown grayish, it has a lot of barred lines on its chest, whereas the male Asian coel has a red eye and it flies straight, it makes a raucous cawing. So these are identification marks that give us the first high, where you look at a bird and you say, that's a coel, or you look at another bird and you say, that's a white-cheeked barbet. So ID gives us the best high. But then after that, you start figuring out behavior and ecology, and that gives you the next high. So I spend about 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at sunset, give or take, on bird activity. This is because birds are most active at sunrise and sunset. And it's easy to stand there in the fading clouds in the great light to see this activity. Often, I don't have a routine that I say I will watch for half an hour. I just watch till I get my high, like I said, till I get my aha moment. That can happen right away, or that can take 20 minutes. And you can sip your coffee and do this, and it's great. The reason bird watching is a fantastic hobby is because not only does it link you to nature, and every one of us has heard this thing about forest bathing and how great it is, but it also links you to activity. In order to do bird watching, you have to get outside. And the third thing is it gives you an ecosystem, not just a forest or a nature ecosystem, but a human one. Wherever you go in the earth, you will see birds, and you will find people who are interested in birds just like you. So you have a ready-made set of activities and a ready-made set of friends, as it were, wherever you go in the earth. So that is the pleasure of bird watching. I hope you will try it. And next time somebody in your family takes their binoculars and goes off, I hope you will consider joining them, because this is how I got into bird watching 10 years ago, and I'm still learning, and it's still thrilling, and it's a passion that will sustain me for the rest of my life. Bird Podcast is produced by Ullas Anand and Echo Edu. I'm Shobha Narayan. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.